that your idea is that they did that all on purpose, playing the long game so that they could get into like a place where they can abuse women. And I just find that ridiculous.
Right. So first off,
and then the other part is most of them would be passing at that point. You wouldn't even be able to tell that they transitioned.
Right. I would argue if we couldn't tell, and these trans men who want to be women were still, we wouldn't be engaging in these discussions. Yeah, Christy didn't load. We wouldn't be engaging in these discussions because we would be none the wiser. But obviously, we clearly can tell. This is why we are having these discussions and why laws are coming into place.
I really don't think you can tell.
Right. So then why are we engaging in these
What did you use to check that you could tell? So right. You saw someone, you thought that they were, as you would state it, biologically male. I have a little bit of quandaries with how you state that because I think it's a little bit offensive.
Why is it offensive? Why is it offensive?
But what did you use to check that your visual interpretation of their presentation was like? Did you perform a blood test on them and look at their chromosomes, or how did you know that you're correct that they were trans?
Can I answer?
No, go for it.
Go for it.
Good morning. Danadu, what's your sexuality?
I'm a straight white male.
I didn't ask you if you were white.
Just very quickly as well,
Yes.
I knew you was a male. I didn't even need to see you to know that. Funny enough, I just heard you. But sorry, Christy.
Oh, it's fine. So you're straight. So how do you pick your partner?
99% of the time, the trans community is like less than 1% of the population,
stop.
right?
No, that's not the argument.
No, I got to respond to the host. She said she made a quip about how it's easy to tell that I'm a man because of the way that voice sounds.
I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong.
I actually have kind of a high-pitched voice, and also, obviously you would be right on intuition if you judged a person's voice based on how it sounds, because most people, 99.5% of all people, align with what they were assigned at birth. So of course you're going to be right on intuition. That's not a proof of anything.
I'm not okay, so what you're doing, you misconstrued the words, right? I am not judging you. I am merely identifying you.
Right, but you made a sly quip about how funny how I can identify you so easily based on the tone of your voice. Well, yeah, you're going to be the trans community is very small, so of course you're going to be right 99% of the time. And of those less than 1% of people who do transition, some of them do have a passing voice. So you're going to be right even more of the time. Or well, you could be wrong, but think you're right.
Yeah, right, and I don't...
So then, now I'm asking, what did you use to check? And Christy wanted to tell me. So go ahead.
Sure. So you said you're straight, and that's debatable, right? Because the way you're acting up here, I would say that you're probably DL. But that's okay.
Do you want to be a bigot or do you want to be a mature adult?
Let me ask you a question. Hold on.
Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you?
How do you know who you're dating when you're straight without checking their chromosomes?
How do I know? I don't understand the...
Well, let me do it on me. I'm straight, right? I'm heterosexual, which means I only date adult human males, okay? And when I go on dates, not now, but when I used to, I just had to use my eyes and my overall collective traits of the individual I was dating. I never had to check their dick and bowels, and I never had to check their chromosomes. And guess what? I was right 10 out of 10 times. How do you explain that?
Do you understand...
How do you explain that? I want you to tell me how to explain.
Preamble that I don't feel like explaining it again.
That absolutely had no value. That had no value whatsoever.
What's the size of the trans community?
I don't care if it's the size of a ballerina shoe. I don't care if it's the size of a ballerina shoe. My question still stands, and I'm asking it, and I want an answer.
Yeah, but it's a stupid fucking question. Because
why is it stupid?
Why this is the case.
Angry?
Because 99% of people align naturally with what they were assigned at birth. So obviously, if you're surveying the land, most people are going to align with the gender that was, assigned to them at birth. It's only very small. So obviously, your question doesn't really pose a challenge to my worldview. There's nothing here to respond to.
What makes you align or disalign? This is my...
Your subjective feeling.
Okay, right. So what is the subjective feeling of woman?
It depends on the individual assessing that.
Okay, so that means anybody and everybody...
And it also correlates with the culture that they're in.
Right. So what is the...
You understand? We're all individuals.
Can you tell? Okay,
and you live in a society.
What is the difference between men and women?
What is the difference between men and women?
Answer that question for me.
What do you mean?
What? I don't know how.
I'm trying to think of, because I've fully explained this like multiple times. I don't know what you.
Yeah. Okay. So like.
I feel like you're just trying to get me on a gotcha.
No, I'm not.
I feel like my worldview is pretty internally consistent.
Stop yapping and answer the host question. Damn.
I want to know, like what is the difference between pens and pencils? Pens are ink. Pencils are lead. Done. What is the difference between men and women?
So this will probably be the 7th time we explaining this, but these are categories that are highly correlated with, but not necessarily contingent upon certain biological realities.
So what is that? What's the difference then? You're not telling me what.
You know them. I'm sure you talk about this on your live all the time.
No, I'm gay. I don't. I'm a cigarette.
I mean, you could look at, I don't know what words I'm allowed to say on here.
So you're not going to tell me the difference?
Broadly gesture at everything you like to talk about, that TERFs like to talk about, like chromosomes.
I'm asking you.
Facial hair.
What are you separating? I want you to tell me what the difference is between men and women under your.
So I approach a person and I ask them, and I treat them with full respect as a human being, and I sort of learn about them. I try not to make rash generalizations.
But that's not answering what the difference is between men and women.
And then I ask them, how do you like to present? And then they tell me. So that's what I use.
Okay, but I'm not asking. Look,
Does that make sense? What's wrong with that? Is there a problem with that?
No, you're not understanding my question. Yes, okay, fair enough. Power to you. Yay, everyone will get happy. You can go out there and ask everybody what they present as. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
My question to you is, what is the difference between men and women under your framework?
I approach an individual and I have a conversation with them. We get to know each other, and then they tell me how they present.
How do you date? How do you date? Do you date?
Well, I don't. I'm married, so it doesn't really matter anymore, does it?
Michael.
Lord help them. Go ahead.
So you're still not answering the question. I just said to you different.
I answered it, I think 3 times now.
Well,
you just don't like to answer. There's a difference between me answering the question.
Here's what's happening. I'm asking, what is the difference between men and women? And your answer is, when I talk to people, I ask them.
Yeah, my answer is they tell me.
That's not telling me the difference between men and women.
They tell me for themselves. I think people are allowed to self-identify. That's the answer to your question.
What?
So that's the difference.
You're not telling me the difference between men and women. You're telling me how people want to identify. What is the difference? What is it that men do, and what is it that women do?
How they tell me. The difference between a man and a woman is that a man tells me they're a man, and a woman tells me they are a woman. Does that make sense? I think that's the simplest way I can say it. I don't know how else I can say it. I've answered this question 4 times now.
No, I'm sorry. I think what she's asking is visually.
No,
I allowed that as well. I said facial hair, certain, women have longer hair on average, usually past shoulder length.
Sexist stereotypes is what differentiate men from women. So this is what I mean, Eldiana, just think this. You see what you just said? These are sexist stereotypes that have been placed upon either or sex, which is a regressive movement. It is taking women back in time. So to say that a woman is somebody with long hair, right, excludes women who are masculine and have short hair.
Right, I agree with that. I fully agree with that. That's why before we started this whole conversation, I had a long piece where I talked about how I'm a radical gender abolitionist and I don't think people should be treated based on categorizations or generalizations at all.
Right.
However, we have certain people who are living in society now, and they have to deal with the fact that every time they go outside, they're treated a certain way by people. And if 90% of all people treat them in a certain way just because they present in a feminine way, and they don't like being treated that way by 90% of people, and then they transition to a more masculine appearance, and they find that 90% of people have now switched the way they treat them, and they feel more comfortable that way, I think that's totally acceptable. I think they have the freedom to do with whatever their body they want to, and I don't see a strong case for the harm that it causes when they do that. So what's the strong case for the harm that it causes?
I've just told you, males are impeding upon the privacy, dignity, and safety of the sex within sex spaces.
I disagree because I think the idea that someone will go through years of transition just so they could abuse women is ridiculous.
Have you heard of trans maxers?
Do you have any statistics showing abuse in a woman's bathroom by trans people? Do you have a single news story?
I went through the ONS.
Give me one case, one name, single story, any statistics, any facts at all.
Right, one name. I'm going to give you one name. Here we go. We're gonna do this because for some reason I keep trying to fucking talk. All right, here we go. So, DA judge finds transgender...
I don't think I'm a wizard. I actually am a wizard.
You just hold on now, because when you were talking, I do be quiet. DA judge finds transgender teen guilty of sexual assault in Loudoun County High School in girls' bathroom. Oklahoma transgender student charged with assaulting female high school classmates in bathroom. Transgender Wyoming transgender woman convicted of essaying a 10-year-old girl in a bathroom. Another transgender student flashed 4 freshman girls in their locker room after a swim class in Wisconsin. Transgender suspect threatens to grape Christian girls, inject HIV in public wearing crosses, copycat Nashville shootings. Male inmate convicted of raping female at Rikers Island Women's Facility. Male rapist who identifies as a woman transferred to a woman's jail and assaults females. There we go. Do you want me to continue?
I mean, those are all tragedies. I get it, but you examine any population, that's why I appealed to the statistics broadly.
Right. No, you didn't. You said give me one case. You said
because I didn't think you'd be able to do it.
I gave you multiple.
These cases are pretty. I've examined some of these, and they don't actually.
And I think also the ONS that came out in the UK has definitely stated, right, they are unable to do the matches when it comes to the public bathrooms. But what they did do is over 670,000 cases of males harming women in public spaces. These data have not been fully presented to the public.
They haven't been presented to the public? That sounds suspicious.
No, the ONS has come out 670,000. I'm going to have to find it. Males assaulting females within female public domains. 670,000. Let me make sure. Don't quote me on the number because I am going to go back and look, so I don't want to have egg on my face. Thank you, Missy. There is an absolute issue. We have male, female, and unisex bathrooms. 88% of essays and rapes that occur across all 3 bathrooms happens where? In the unisex bathroom. Because something happens when you place males and females in confined spaces together. That is why it is important in the Geneva Convention that in the time of war that we separate the male from female sex. In the time of war as well, right? In Congo, when the males escaped from the male prison in Congo, instead of running towards freedom, right, they ran to the female prison, broke in, raped women, and burned their babies alive in front of them.
I'm sorry, what was this?
How is that relevant to the trans discussion at all?
Because we are demonstrating how violent the male sex can be towards the female sex.
Oh, so
women are male.
I see. So you do think you have this strange old-timey idea that we're have biological realities that are inherent to our.
Right.
So you think men are inherently more violent? Is that true?
Inherent, yes, because if we look at prison data, we will see that. If we look at, hold on a minute. It is men who go
I'm just trying to understand your position.
One minute, no, because you're going to try and put this down. Give me a second. It is men who go to war to protect their country and their women because they are physically superior than the female sex. It is men that do the dangerous jobs that cause them to unalive under the sewers, up in the skyscrapers. It is men that fight more than women. Because if you look at the data,
I get that. Yeah, because
the vast majority of men that are in prison are in there for violent crimes. The vast majority of women that are in women's prisons are in there for non-violent crimes. Data is showing us that the male sex has a pattern of behavior, but it is not exclusive to either or sex.
Yeah, I know you're going to roll your eyes at me when I say this, but I think it's because men are socialized to do those kind of behaviors, to do violent.
But men are not told to go out there and rape women. Men are
no, you're right.
Women.
Well, I do think we live in that type of culture that's tragically unfortunate. I don't agree with it. You're definitely appealing to true statistics that we have an epidemic of people not respecting women's bodies, consent, etc. That's the real problem. I just object to taking it out on another minority community like trans people. So I didn't expect to have this conversation today. I didn't come prepared to debate. I think my worldview is fairly consistent. I understand your worldview. I'm sorry I got a little heated at certain times. I just get passionate about protecting minority communities.
No.
I understand why you're passionate about protecting women.
Removing the rights of women and girls and children.
I understand you see it that way. I disagree. I see why you're passionate about this issue because you're trying to protect women. I think your views are regressive, and I don't think the traits are inherent to any kind of biological...
When you're defining women by long hair, I'm regressive. When you're defining women by makeup and...
Yeah, I think you're trying to get a gotcha on me. I fully qualified that twice before I even said that. You basically forced me to say it. I tried to avoid saying that many times, but you kind of forced me to say it.
The definitive factor that a woman is just somebody who is feminine. So get your notebook ready, and when you're ready to face me again, come back. I'll give you time.
I don't feel like it's productive to have conversations with people like you, but...
Yeah. Because I'll eat you alive when it comes to this. There's no way you're going to convince anybody that a man with a mental illness is going to take over the life of women.
It's coming out.
Mental illness. Mental illness. Effed up in the head. So you're going to fucking stomp all over what we do.
Okay. Keep teaching me what you're all about.
Yeah. You keep teaching me what you're about.
Sorry, I don't know what experiences you've had. I'm sure men have treated you poorly. Please don't take it out on the trans community. They have freedom to do with whatever they want with their own body.
I have had the experience of living in a world that my ancestors fought for to obtain rights to my privacy, dignity, and safety. And this generation has shifted on the rights that have been afforded
You're kind of crashing out. I'm going to leave.
Previous women. That is what I have experienced. And what I am now experiencing is the male sex impeding upon those rights and trying to rip them from our hands. I'll die before I let that happen. The world will burn before that fucking happens. Dummies, cocks and quats.
I agree with you, and when you say men tend to be more violent and aggressive, and I agree with everything you said, but not all men are like that.
Pussy, run, go wank off a cock in a frock. Go play with his little balls and tell him how much of a woman he is. Fucking disrespect to your own mother, to all the women in your family, your grandmother, fucking everything. Dummy, dumb, sell out. Everything we fucking fought for, Eldiana, we're going to hand it over to these men because they verbally proclaim that fucking potatoes. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Eldiana. Have your say.
I understand your concern and your fears. I 100% understand that. But I also, how do I say this? I don't think it's a mental illness.
Okay, can I explain to you why I think it is?
Yes, please.
Right. I think it's a mental illness, and this isn't me saying that everybody else has to believe and think that, right? The reason why I think it is because you are disassociating with your sex body, right? The definition of delusion, is to obtain a false belief. Now, when they disassociate with their sex body and they are in a state of delusion, in a false belief that they are something that they are not, and then to further that by removing healthy body parts is a clear-cut sign of mental illness But if you'd like, we can reframe that to mental health condition or a mental disorder.
I just view it like this. If I try to understand every point, and I understand why you're upset and outraged. I just think that I think of it as if it were me. If I were born, if I felt like I didn't belong in this body, I would be devastated. I would be depressed. Do you know a lot of trans teens commit suicide because they feel like they're in the wrong body?
Honey, can we use analyzing ideation?
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. And my Misty, Christy already is a mod. I've already got her. Go ahead. Christy, did you want to respond to that statement?
I wanted to finish.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Elziana. Go ahead.
I just, again, generalizing, like you gave very good examples of trans violence. But the thing, you can't generalize it. Not every trans woman is like that.
Yeah, okay. I agree with you. We can't generalize it. But why is it when it comes to men, we generalize them and we don't let them into the women's space? Not all men are rapists. I know that for sure. I would argue that the majority of men are actually good men. So why are we not allowing men into our spaces?
Because they're male. They identify as male. The trans women identify as women.
Yeah, but they're males. That's why when we collect data, it says male, female.
I understand, but I don't see them as male anymore. If they identify as trans, if they feel that they are a woman deep down, I feel like they're women.
So you think that men that transition, so women are transitioned men? I'm
sorry, ask me that again. I'm sorry.
I said, you think that women are men that transition? And also female? Born male. And okay. Well, they're born male and they're unalive male. They'll always be male.
They will transition physically into people.
They can't transition into anything. They can just change their presentation, but they're still male. They'll always be male.
I disagree. I'm sorry. I respect.
How do you disagree? We can't change our sex.
Do you think sex? You can change your sex?
You can.
We can. Can you tell me how?
Surgery.
So a male that's castrated is no longer male?
Yeah.
What?
If he's you're going into like, okay, if a male is castrated.
Yeah.
Did he do it to himself?
Does it matter?
It does, because if he's castrated, if it wasn't done to him,
wait a second.
Don't apply to him if he didn't want that.
So if a male cuts off his own dingleberries and then a doctor cuts off his own dick and balls, if it gets cut off either way, does it matter how it's cut off?
It matters if that's what he wants, if he feels like that's not who he is.
What if he was in war and his bottom half got blown off?
He's still a man.
Stay right there with me. Stay with me. Chat, stay with me. It's early, I know. So if he went to war and he got his D&B blown off, and then he went to the doctor and he got his D&B removed, which way is he no longer male?
He's a castrated man.
Right.
He's a castrated man.
Correct.
Male.
Yes. That's what we just said.
He sees himself as a man. He sees his soul, if
one went to the doctor,
as a man.
No, if one went to the doctor to get it removed, and one got it removed because he got into a fight in the street and the guy cut it off with a scissor.
That's, again, he's
still a man
because he identifies as a man. Because he feels like a man. He identifies as a man.
Okay, so it's just because you like the scissor. That's why I use the scissor.
No, I just found it just the way you said it.
Okay, So, okay, so a male that's castrated voluntarily is no longer a man.
Why would a man voluntarily, that's a man,
Yeah.
that sees himself as a man, why would he voluntarily?
Well, if he sees himself as a woman, and he goes and voluntarily gets it cut off by the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
he's no longer male?
Because it's a person that doesn't identify as a male.
Respectfully, it doesn't matter. It's like me saying I don't identify as human and I change my skin and I look like an alien.
It does matter. It does matter.
So if I change my entire skin and my layout and I look like an alien, would you take that into consideration that I might be?
There's no such thing as aliens. There's such thing as...
Okay, what about a lizard? What if I change? What if I got tattoos on my body with scales?
Listen, I'm talking about human beings.
I'm talking about human beings too.
Then why are you saying lizards?
What if I identified as Middle Eastern? I'm not. What if I did that? And I.
You know what? If you love the Middle Eastern culture,
I do.
You could go and immerse yourself in it.
I do, though. I'm married to a Middle Eastern man. I've been to Middle Eastern countries. I love the food. I love the dress. I love the music. I love the culture. So why can't... You know what? I would probably be a better Middle Eastern woman than Envyy would be. Would you accept that?
You can say, you know what? People say I'm like, my soul is Middle Eastern.
My soul is Middle Eastern. Would you accept that?
Yes.
Would you accept me as a Middle Eastern woman?
No, I would accept you as your soul is Middle Eastern.
No, I identify as Middle Eastern. It's my identity. It's my whole life.
Mm.
Would you accept that?
Sure. I would.
You would?
Yeah.
Would you accept would you accept a grown man identifying as a child?
No,
that's too far. Why? If your identity is anything that you claim to be, it should be across the board. There shouldn't be any stopping points. You should be able to identify as whatever you want. Right?
Because it's all a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, you would accept a 50-year-old man identifying as like a 10-year-old girl.
No.
Yes, you have to. That's your argument, not mine.
Yeah.
Your argument is whatever you proclaim to be, you are.
But why is it all of a sudden a limit?
I'm sorry, so that's what I didn't
No, I'm saying, like, why all of a sudden is there a limit on what you can and can't claim to be? Because it's a feeling, right? So they might feel, this 50-year-old man might just feel like a child, you know? He likes watching Blue's Clues, he likes watching Peppa Pig, he likes to wear onesies and little nappies, well, not little nappies.
Listen, I know some grown men that act like children. We all do.
Right, so okay, then are you affirming them as a child and you would help them navigate through society as a child? Are you going to be changing their diapers for them? Are you going to go, get the, milk and...
I'm not accepting them as a child, but I'm not accepting them as a man either. They're a boy.
What?
They're not, there's a difference between being a man and a boy.
Would you let your son sleep over that, quote, older boy's house?
My son is 27 years old.
Would you let your child, would you let your 7-year-old son or a 10-year-old son have a sleepover with a man who thought he was 10, who is like 40?
I wouldn't let my son sleep over anybody's house. I don't know.
But did you hear how ridiculous your argument is? You're saying that anybody can identify as anything they want to be. And they just can't. I can't identify as disabled. I can't identify as blind. I can't identify as Middle Eastern. I can't identify as a man. I can't. Because I'm just not. And that's okay. I know you want to be inclusive, and it sounds like you want to be inclusive because you want to include these men that think that they're women just because they say that they're women. They're not. And where our stance is just, you could be whatever you want to be, but we know that you're not that thing. That's not hateful. That's nothing. If I look at you and I know that you're a man, and you're going to look at somebody and you're going to know that they're a man also, and they tell you that they're a woman, I'm going to go, oh, okay, well, you're not. But go off and live your life the way that you want. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to look at them. You might not say it outwardly. You might say it to yourself, like, that's definitely not a woman. But you'll say it to yourself, and you'll go, oh, okay, enjoy your life. But you're going to know in your head that that's not a woman. You can include them and pretend that they are, but you're going to know when you look at them that they're not. That's just it. We don't affirm men that pretend that they're women. That's just absurd.
And don't you think...
Can you understand?
No,
Go ahead, sorry, Emma.
I get your point of view, and I respect it. And I have a different point of view.
So, yeah, but I think one point of view is an objective. Where you're coming from is a subjective place. Like, when we said you could be anything you want to be when you grow up, you've taken that very literal and taking it out of the realm of, like, you know, biology to say that you can be anything that you want to be. You can't be anything that you want to be. Like, I cannot become a man because every living organism is labeled and studied within sociology and psychology and all of these things, right? So we have living organisms. One produces, humans, for example, right? Like, we're a gonochoric species, we're Homo sapiens. And we have two sexes. We have two reproductive pathways. Your body is either organized itself around the production of small gametes or organize itself around the production of large gametes. That is the difference between the male and female sex. Then what we have is the terms woman, man, boy, girl is to describe the stages of development for either or sex. So when we say woman, we know we're speaking of an adult human female. So when women are studied in psychology, we know that we are speaking about adult human females. When girls are studied, boys are studied, men are studied, right? So, for example, the same thing pertains to animals, or all mammalian species, reptilian species, things like that. So, for example, we would call an adult female chicken. I don't run around saying, oh, I want an adult female chicken. I'll say I want a hen. We don't say I want an adult male chicken. We say I want a rooster, right? So these are merely labels to describe what stage of development this mammal is. So to start muddying that line and removing that is to say anyone can do anything, thus removing the rights of women and girls. So when we're speaking of women's rights, what are you talking about? When we're speaking of women's health, what is that pertaining to? When we're speaking of women's history, what does that pertain to? Right? Inclusiveness doesn't exist in the way that you think it does. We are all included, and I say this all the time. We're all included on this planet Earth, but we are separated and excluded from each other based upon our biological functions, right? So there is no such thing as being inclusive in that manner, right? Dogs exclude cats, cats exclude rats, males exclude females. Nature has designed this. This isn't something that we are saying that, oh, no, there is no difference. No, we have different biological functions. And we know, again, through data, the threat the male sex has put upon the female sex. So when we were silenced and put on urinary leashes and we were unable to venture out of the home or get an education, even in some parts of the world, girls that reach around the age 10, 11, 12, if they start their menstruation, they're taken out of schools because they have nowhere to go to deal with that biological function. They bleed on themselves in the schools. Even in China, the women that are in the military, they have to use the same rag that they have used on previous menstruation to themselves because they're not afforded that kind of thing. So then, when we say we've come to a place where the female sex has been able to participate on an equal footing within society, to only have that taken away from us because the male sex is claiming to be what we are. They are taking away scholarships, they are taking away trophies, they are taking away awards. Woman of the Year didn't go to a female, it went to a man. It went to a man who verbally proclaimed that he is a woman. And I think it's atrocious that we are standing here, and that's okay. You're going to hold your belief. I'm not going to force you. I just hope that you can resonate with what I'm saying to you. Is we have worked so hard as the female sex to even be able to vote. The reason why you're on this app today is because of the women that fought for you to have an equal footing in society. Women in Iran and Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia and they cannot opt out of how they are treated based on a verbal proclamation that I identify as a man. Did you know now when they wear the burqa and the hijab, they can only show one eye? One eye. The men there don't look at them and say, what do you identify as? And they say a man. And they say, okay, yallah, hamshir, go run around. No, they look at the objective reality that is a female. And that female is not allowed to have an education past the age of 12. She is not allowed to look out the window. She has to get married at a particular age. She is not allowed to talk loudly anymore. Where do you think they are placing it on? It's on the objective reality that we are the female sex. And that cocksucker, Zanab, wants to talk about regression when he is using sexist stereotypes to put women back into a box that even the women in the East have not come out yet.
I agree with you 100%.
Fuck yeah, who's gay? Me! Sorry, thank you, Catherine. Can we have somebody, Catherine? Let's go. Sorry.
I agree with you 100%, and Xanadu, unfortunately, was not very... a potato.
So anything, just very quickly, Hayley, can I get your age, please?
Yeah, 31.
And do you believe that trans women are women?
No, but I know I'm not op, but I messaged Christy in the chat because I was like, I need to ask a couple questions about this, if you don't mind.
I was going to leave it just me and Christy, but go ahead, ask you a couple of questions and I will tell you, because I don't want Elsiana to feel as if like this is delicate from a dog pile or something.
No, I welcome and I enjoy discussions without attacking everybody. I like seeing other people's point of view. I enjoy this kind of debating.
Yeah, I just think so, just to keep it fair for like if we do get another opposition up or someone who's willing to engage in civil discourse, then I'm happy to fill up the panel again. But I just wanted to feel like bombarded with that question from me, Christy. Hey, do you know what I mean?
I'm going to have to leave for work in a little while, so. Yeah,
all right, Hayley, go for it, and then.
So I've been wanting to get both of you, because I think you and Christy are like one of the strongest women I've seen on here. And I love what you advocate for. So I'm just curious, as a mom, I know Christy's a mom, I don't know if you are, Envyy, but I have had a couple situations come up recently with my daughter that's, school age now, and I 100% agree with you and Christy, and that's the part I struggle with. I live in California, and it's the most liberal state right now, and I've seen it a couple times where we've run into a few trans people through the communities, and my daughter's now at an age where she's noticing these things, and it's while I sit here and agree with you guys, there's a fine line where do we and how do we defend ourselves out in public like that? Because it's they've never done anything to, I guess, overstep, but I mean, how do you guys approach that? Have you seen this in public too?
I don't know if I'm understanding. Sorry, could you?
Well, we're sitting here and we're talking about how, males are I don't know, thinking they're women. Well, we've seen that specifically. So I'm my little 7-year-old, I'm how do I even explain this to her? Because I feel like I'm walking a fine line where I want to tell her the truth. That's really just a man,
Yeah, absolutely. I would argue. I mean, I don't think children should be confused, to be honest, and it's a shame that they're children are walking around watching men cosplay women, and this is like a normal. You can just tell her the truth. I mean, you know, I don't think lying to her and saying that that is a woman, you're just going to perpetuate the narrative that she would have to accept this man as a woman and within her faith. This is perpetuating rape culture. Women are saying no, and we are being forced to share intimate spaces with the male sex.
Mm-hmm. It's just like it's happened once as, like, with an adult person, and then another one with a child at school. And so that, when it happened at school, was kind of like the final point, and her school was very dismissive about it. And I think that's the problem, is that, like, people are defending this community more than they're, like, defending us who are in more of a reality, I feel. And it's very harmful. And I don't think a lot of people are considering us as women, you know?
Yeah, it just shows the male superiority over the female sex, right? Because when a male claims something, then women must shut up and listen and accept it. So I think at that point, what would need to happen, again, because I don't know what the state laws are where you are, but as it stands in the UK, it is considered a violation of women's human rights. And you would simply put in a complaint forward. This is why gender critical views and beliefs are actually placed within the Equality Act under a philosophical belief. So they may have the right to verbally proclaim that they are women, but we maintain the right to deny that belief. So I wouldn't know what the laws are, and if there isn't any laws, I would strongly suggest advocating for those laws and legislation to be implemented within your state to allow freedom of speech and your beliefs, right? But maybe Christy knows more. I don't know what state you're in or anything.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I was just curious on, like, what your opinions are as far as, like, explaining it to children when it happens, because obviously I'm not going to just go out and, like, open this conversation with my 7-year-old.
I would keep it to a minimal. Me personally, I would keep it to a minimal. Like, I have a 11-year-old niece, and if we were out together and she saw somebody and she was like, Teyze, that's auntie in Turkish, if she said to me, Teyze, is that a man or a woman? And we said, basically, that's a man. And then we keep it moving. I don't want to pollute her mind into this ideology and seem as like something that should be applauded or anything like that. I will stick to the facts. If she asks me, is that a man or a woman, or why is that man in a dress, or whatever it is, I'll make a short, very short statement, and I will keep it moving from there.
Yeah, that's I guess that's kind of how I've been approaching it so far. The few times it's happened, I guess my concern is just, like, you know, like, I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but I also want to be in reality, because I don't want to feed into the delusion that I feel it is, and I want to be honest with my kiddo. So
yeah, I don't think we should teach children to be into the delusion either. Christy, do you have any advice to that as well? Or? I don't know if it's Christy?
I wasn't trying to, like, take up anyone's time. I'm just, like, really curious, because I know, like,
you're right.
You know.
As a parent, of course, you're going to have these questions. And like I said, me personally, yes, I think, you know, just keep it to a minimum. And if they ask if it's a man or a woman, you tell them it's a man or a woman, and then you keep it moving. I don't think they need education on mentally ill people trying to cosplay the opposite sex.
That's the thing, is I don't feel like it's one of those things where you don't need to, like, feed into the delusion, but also I want to maintain, like, respect, knowing that they're still humans, but, like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to people and encourage that.
Yes. No, I agree with you. I agree. Right, I'm just, can I get your age, please?
Yeah, I'm 27. You know me. It's Dex. I just have to change up because everyone knows who I am now, so I have to go back in disguise. So now I'm just a Stanley Cup.
Go ahead.
I've got two things to say. So Hayley, I would say to you that I do think, like, maybe you should probably just teach your daughter to, like, I don't know, just, like, be kind and just be, like, respectful of people, because I don't think pointing people out and pointing at someone and being like, that's a man, Because you don't even know that might not even be a man. That could be a very masculine-looking woman, though.
Wait, can you fill me in really quick what Haley said about her daughter?
Oh, should I? Dex, hold on, babe. Haley, could you make your statement one more time? And Dex is going to get it after this.
Just real quick.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm just walking a fine line right now where, you know, I live in California, Northern California. So it's like we're running into a few of these situations where one of them happened at my daughter's school where a boy has been wearing like leggings and, you know, hair barrettes, and she's naturally like curious. And, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to like maintain respect and explain that to her in an appropriate age level way, but also like maintain reality with her, because I agree with both of you where I don't feel like we should be encouraging this delusion. And I want to also maintain that level of respect because they're still human.
Well, you just saying already that there's delusion. It's just a bit mad.
Yeah, Dex. Sorry,
how old is she?
She's 7.
Okay. I have 2 daughters, 15 and 17. You're just going to have to explain that some boys like to dress like girls, but that doesn't make him a girl. That just makes him a boy that likes to wear a girl's clothes. Maybe he's more comfortable wearing leggings. Maybe he likes barrettes, but he's still a boy. Mm-hmm. That's really it. At that level, I don't think you have to go much further than that. And just remind her that she's not, that boy in her class is not a girl. He's absolutely a boy.
I actually agree with you, Christy. I actually do agree with you there, because I don't think that, like, because when I was younger, I used to like wear princess dresses and stuff like that, because, you know, like I was a kid, and obviously I didn't end up being trans, but I think I was thinking, I didn't realize you were talking about like a young boy like doing that. I thought you meant like when like you went like you saw a trans woman and was like, and your daughter was like, oh, is that a man? And you were like, yeah. That's kind of what
happened too. Yeah, it was both. Okay. The adult one was actually like last week on the 4th of July, and then the one at school has been, you know, throughout the year, obviously.
I just feel like when you see if you see like a trans, and if your daughter has questions about trans people, then I feel like it's like you can explain like some people are trans. Like I feel like when you go into like when you start talking about delusion, that's your own belief. But like when you go by what actual science is and what everything is that is legit. People are trans. Like that is, you can't really just say it's delusion, because that is it's like a thing. Like people are trans in the world, whether you agree with it or not. That is what it is.
Yeah, people are schizophrenic in the world. It doesn't mean they're not mentally ill.
No, but it's a
it doesn't mean that they're not in a state of delusion. So again, if we define the word delusion, it is a false belief. Now,
but if it's
a false belief that they are women, which means it's a delusion. And when you're in that state of delusion 24/7 and you remove healthy body parts to affirm that delusion, I would argue it absolutely is a mental illness.
But that's your opinion. That's not what doctors would say. Doctors would say that they're experiencing gender dysphoria and they're now transitioning to be a trans woman.
Mental things, right? Thinking like
doctors are going to just do whatever, like, you know, whatever people are going to say. Because what is someone else going to go in there now and start this big thing saying like, oh, I'm trans, give me the puberty blockers or whatever. But then, like, they're going to just say no, and then all of a sudden that doctor is going to be under review and have all this going. I feel like it's a societal norm nowadays to just have these people, you know, people going in and saying this because it's normal now, quote unquote.
I think
it's a regular thing.
I think maybe in America, like, not to single you out, but I think maybe in America, just because obviously I know that America is obviously big pharma and obviously it's health insurance, but whereas like in the UK, like you do have to go through a lot of therapy. You have to go through like a lot of processes before you even get, and even in the 18, they've stopped under 18-year-olds being put on puberty blockers now, which I do agree with, because I don't think like kids are, like I said, if I was brought up in this day and age, I think if I was around and I was 7, it was 2025, I would probably be told that I was a trans woman, but I'm not. Like, I'm very comfortable being a man, but I don't think it's as easy as people are making out, that people can just like transition. Like it is a real like process you got to go through, and like psychiatrists have got to like talk to you. You got to get assessments. Like, you know, it's not easy. And I think when people are saying like, oh, delusion, I think the thing is, most trans people that I know, they know that they're not. No one thinks that they're biologically female or biologically male. Like they're just a trans woman or a trans man. I mean, that's up to you. I mean, but obviously, I think we all know that is not the case. Like, it is, you can't change your biological sex, but no one
Right, but then by stating you are a woman, you are implying that you have changed your sex, because then we're going to have to accept that a woman is not an adult human female. Then what we would have to do is say, right, so what can we call these groups of people that are adult human females? What are we called? Are we going to dehumanize ourselves and start to put that adult human female over there? What are we then? What's the new name that would exclude the male sex from the female sex?
Well, I guess it would be trans women or trans men. Like, that would be it. But then also on that point, I think that women is not a by the book word. Like, women is a more broader term now, whereas female, if someone was like, I'm female, I think that would be more towards like, I am biologically female.
Female. I'm not going to allow the separation of woman and female. Woman describes the state of being an adult human female. So, right, because when you say female, are we talking about female cat, female dog, female rat? This is why the term gender was created.
Yeah.
We can say an adult human female is a woman. And so, again, in sociology, when they speak of women, if woman is not an adult human female, what are they speaking of? This is the thing, Dex. So words are very important. The definition of words are very important because we have to legislate that in law.
But even in the UK now, like when I was just doing a little research, I can see even though we had that law, even though the Supreme Court's judgment was perfectly clear, the House of Commons have still said that they've rejected the ban on trans women using female toilets. So trans women are still legally allowed to use the female toilet.
No, they're not.
Like, so I'm literally looking at it right now.
Well, no, let me read this.
Yeah, it's on the Parliament Politics. Oh, sorry, it's on parliamentnews.co.uk.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, sure.
Parliament News got so the EHRC that came out that stated that males are not to enter female-only spaces. The House of okay. So what am I typing? Parliamentnews.co.uk. What am I looking for?
Well, I just Parliament rejects ban on trans women using female toilets.
Trans women using female.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to go to work now.
Diana, thank you for coming up.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
And you, listen. Okay. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing on Pink News. House of Commons apologises to gender critical pair after trans barrister uses women's toilet. I'm not seeing what you're seeing. Hey, can you inbox me on Discord, you fucking little cock?
I left your Discord. I didn't want to be in there.
My inbox me.
All right, I'll send you a DM of the link. Let me send it to myself. But it says it on here. It was on May 20th. It does mention the EHRC, but it says when asked about rejecting EHRC guidance, the Commons declined to answer. So it says that it was put to the House of Parliament and they rejected the ban. So. Yeah, but
I don't believe you. I don't.
Why would I lie?
Yes, I'm saying it because I want to read it. Come on, let's do this.
All right, I'll be right back.
Come back. Yes. Magda, whilst we're waiting for fucking cocksucker. Yes.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Go for it. Have your make. Oh, can I get your age before you start, and then go ahead?
Yes, I'm 29 years old.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I came up here to debate an opposition, but the opposition dropped.
He's coming back.
Oh, okay, great. But I do want to put it out there to all the liberals and Democrats that don't think that gender dysphoria is not a mental illness. It actually is a mental illness because when you have something that's off with your brain, that's considered a mental illness.
I'm not gonna lie.
What it is. So it's common sense, and I've been thinking about detransitioning because I don't want to live in delusion anymore. I feel like a delusion. It's a pure delusion. I don't think that transitioning is healthy, number one. Number two, I don't believe in any of the surgeries.
If you don't mind me asking, like, can I ask how far into your...
So I've been medically transitioning for 7 years.
Right, and when would you say you started to, if you don't mind, again, please only say what you're comfortable with saying. So if I was to ask you, like, what kind of led you into the belief that you are trans, and then kind of if you could explain, like, what has happened for you to maybe think that you are maybe detransitioning?
So what led me to it was that my brain was feeding me delusion into wanting to look like a female and present as female. Mm-hmm. You know, I understand, like, being a woman is more than that, and I've thought about it over the years that, you know, it's impossible for a man to become a woman. Now, I've always known that men can't be women, right? Mm-hmm. But what led me to it is that I grew out my hair. I started slowly doing makeup and my hair and all that stuff, started wearing women's clothing. Then somebody told me, they're like, you may as well just transition because you're very feminine looking. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
No,
being on it. But the thing that makes me want to detransition is the fact that, you know, I feel like if you're feeding in delusion, you're enabling delusion.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken by that. You know, part of me does want to stay, you know, trans because I want to feed people common sense. But, you know, gender dysphoria is very, very hard to fight.
Right.
You know, and somebody was on here saying earlier, oh, you have to go through extensive amounts of therapy to be on hormones and all this stuff. Well, yeah, you go into therapy because you're mentally ill. That's what therapy is for. You go to therapy for that, correct?
Yeah.
So that's my belief on that. You know, ever since men started taking over sports, and I know exactly who you're talking about taking the Woman of the Year award. That was Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah. And I'm going to express my opinion about him. I don't do the pronoun thing because I believe once you're a male, you should not be called a she.
Yeah.
You should be stated as a he, as you're born as, but do as you will. But Caitlyn Jenner was the start of it all, and then he wants to protect women all of a sudden, which I find extremely hypocritical because he started all by taking the Woman of the Year award, going on the front of a magazine, claiming that he was a woman. And that's what really, really started off the whole trans stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what I've seen. But, you know, I just find it really disgusting now that men are going into women's sports. Mm-hmm. Like the boxer. Do you remember that?
Oh, are you talking about Fallon Fox?
Well, there's a male boxer. Yeah, I'm not really good with names, but he hurt that female pretty bad. And then also Leah Thomas, who competed and beat all the women in the swimming competition. You know, the trans community, I don't even call it a community anymore. It's a complete shit show. It's a complete shit show. It's filled with pervy men, and people like Lily Tino, Dylan Mulvaney are actually a complete mockery of women. I mean, seriously, like, has anybody seen how they act?
This is what I'm saying, and this is my whole point was to think it's a very repressive movement because they're saying a woman is nothing but a set of behavior, you know, which is really, really harmful. But no, I completely agree with you.
Yes. You know, and I've always known that gender dysphoria was a mental illness, and when I heard that was removed, I thought that was completely ridiculous because now look what we have going on in the world. We got men that want to be women beating up women, taking women's spots, going into women's restrooms. I don't agree with that. I think if a man is a man, you should go in the men's restroom or just use the bathroom before you fucking leave your home.
Or the unisex, because that's a consensual space, you know?
Yeah.
So just very quickly, user, can I get your age, please? User 55931.